Alright guys, so you're checking out the Flywoo Firefly Baby Nano. So this one here is obviously a quadcopter, and they've gone from the 6 motor version down to a 4 motor version here. I think people were interested in just a regular quadcopter instead of the hexcopter. So it's same in terms of the style, in terms of the sort of specs. 1202.5 motors and same 40mm propellers, just that we have 4 motors instead of 6 motors now. Obviously that's why it retains the Firefly name. Now they did come out with a DJI version of the Firefly Hex, which I did not get a chance to review. So they sent me the DJI version of the Firefly Baby. They also have an analog version of this as well. I'll link all that down in the description. But you can see here, it's got the naked vista at the top, and the heat sinks actually sent them along. So I think they actually probably got these parts from Cadex, because already disassembled, and then they did. You can see the boards from the Vista don't have any the thermal paste on there, so that blue thermal paste. So that's kind of nice, and I had to get rid of that. Anyway, so yeah, it comes with the naked Vista plus the Nebula Nano camera, the smallest one for something this size, 1202.5. Camera's not focusing. 5500 kV motors and 40mm HQ 4-bladed props. They are recommending this 300 milliamp hour 4S battery for the setup, and with the SMO 4K that I flew with, I was getting like 2.5 minutes of flight time. I think if without any extra HD camera, they would probably get another 30 seconds at least, probably 3 minutes. That's what they're advertising. And of course, this is a high volt battery. Link to this also in the description. They sell this in a 2-pack as well. So the flight stack on there is a 13 amp 16x16 stack. This one obviously is just 4 ESCs, and that is the flight controller, and this is what is included in the box. Obviously that's a analog video transmitter for the analog version. This is just obviously one that they printed out for all of the shipments. But yeah, you got the 16x16, this looks like an F745 flight controller, and then you have the 4-in-1 13 amp ESD. So they sent along these mounts here. This one's the SMO 4K mount. They also have a naked GoPro mount as well, and also this Insta360 Go mount. I believe the mounts are optional accessories. They're not included. This little adapter here is also, I think, an option you have to select on the product page. This converts that little SMO 4K plug to a naked GoPro plug, and this one comes with the SMO 4K plug pre-soldered on the flight controller. So make that that's why I wanted with a SMO 4K camera. I believe these prop guards are also included. It's not an option. I think that you can get them included with the package, and I didn't try them out. Obviously, you're gonna have to switch the screws out and the motors, because you're gonna need longer screws for these prop guards. So just looking, basically the plastic doesn't seem to be super durable, but obviously it's meant for a lightweight setup. I think it'll be okay for bouncing around indoor walls and stuff like that. But if you're going to be bando racing and flying into concrete walls at 50-60 miles an hour, I don't think these will survive. It's not going to be really meant for something like that. But yeah, for indoor type of flying, it ought to be okay for just bouncing around off of walls and stuff. But that's obviously if you want to convert this little thing into like a mini Cinewhoop. So a couple of things that they improved over the original Firefly, the Hex version, is they got rid of that foam battery pad, and they have this like sticky material. You can see my fingerprint there. This is kind of like an Uma grip type of material, and the battery will stick on there really strongly. I did recommend that they shorten these little screw heads here or make the pad thicker, because when you tighten down the battery strap, it will leave little dents in the battery from the screws. So they're going to be making that fix in the future. They have these new battery straps as well, because I think a lot of people complained about the battery straps on the the Firefly Hex, and this is a much better battery strap. It's got a sort of a slick surface here on the inside, supposed to grab onto the battery. This in combination with this sticky pad, the battery ain't going anywhere. It's actually pretty hard to remove. And they also sell the sticky pads and the battery straps as well as a separate product. I'll link those as well down in the description. Now, depending upon which store you get it from, they might have different combinations of what you can get with this product. So you should probably make sure you contact that store to ask them what goes with this, because what you can get at the Flywoo store might be a little bit different from what you can get at like Pyrodrone or Race Day Quads. So I'm not exactly sure what all the bundles are going to be like, and so you're going to have to check the product links to determine what exactly is going to be sold in and what combinations. Alright, so here is how much everything weighs. So the drone itself is about 65 grams, and then with the 300 milliamp hour battery, now we're coming in at about 103.6, and then throw the Smo 4K camera on here, and we're coming in at 136.2. Alright, so how does it fly, and how does it fly with the HD camera in there? Surprisingly pretty decent considering the tiny props and the fact you only have 4 motors. You got to go with a smaller 4S battery like this, and I think that 4S is the way to go for something smaller like this versus 3S, because you can basically come down to like a 300 4S instead of like carrying around, say, like a 450 3S in terms of similar weight, and you get I think the voltage sag is going to be less on 4S over 3S, and it just has an overall better feel and flight, more responsiveness because of the less voltage sag. So and I'm directly comparing this to the Diatone Roma F1. That's basically a 3S setup with their motors, and I wasn't even carrying around a GoPro or anything like that on there, and just based on the flight feel. And the fact that this is also DJI, not analog, everything, this actually felt better in the air on this 300 4S than the basically similar 40 millimeter propeller setup on that. Granted, that had like prop guards on there, or like these little prop guard ducks on that one. That was extra weight, versus I flew this one without the included prop guards on this one here. But I don't think that much weight difference is going to make a huge amount of difference in terms of flight. So I mean, the pitch and everything was pretty decent. You're not going to be able to do like any kind of racing with this one or super aggressive acro. You can do little flippy floppies with this one. You probably see this in the flight footage that I'm going to post. And I mean, it's surprisingly good for the amount of weight it's carrying, especially if you're carrying around like a Smo 4K camera or naked GoPro. It's decent. It's not you're not going to be mind blown, or you're going to be breaking any records. But yeah, if you want to fly something really tiny like this, maybe in a smaller space, you can do a little bit of aggressive flying, and obviously at the expense of flight time, but you can get like pretty decent footage with like a GoPro, naked GoPro, or a Smo 4K camera. And then if you're indoors, just throw on the prop guards, and you can basically bounce off of some walls and stuff without crashing, etc. That kind of thing, and sort of get outdoor park, cruising, acro flyer / indoor cinema, type of, flyer, kind of all in one package. And this one obviously has the DJI system as well, which is, I think, a plus considering how tiny it is. So that's about it. I'm going to link the full flights to the Smo 4K footage, as well as the DJI goggle DVR footage, because I think you guys are going to want to see all that, plus what the props sound like. Granted, it's a camera microphone, and because of automatic gain control on the microphone, sometimes it sounds louder than it is, or not as loud as it should be. So keep that in mind. It's not really an audio test in terms of how loud it is, but more like what it sounds like in terms of like how annoying it would be. Now, this is still pretty loud. At the end of the day, it's a 4S with a tiny 40 millimeter propellers at this weight. It's not silent or even remotely quiet. It does make a fair amount of noise, and you can hear it at a pretty decent amount of distance. I mean, I think beyond 100 meters, you probably can't hear it, or barely. But if you're within 100 meters, you're going to be able to hear it. And so if you're flying it at a park or something like that, and you don't want to attract attention, this is probably not the way to go, because it is somewhat noisy because of the tiny propellers. Obviously, if you're looking for something that's less noisy, you want to go with basically something bigger, like with bigger props, like a 3-inch prop, and a lot lighter. So check out my 3-inch ultralight Cinewhoop. I'll link that video down in the description if you're looking for like some kind of a really light Cinewhoop that isn't really loud. That one is pretty quiet at around 60 dB of noise or less, depending upon your environment. But yeah, this is definitely way more than that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.